Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the episode of Just Say Guay. I'm your host, George Guay. Today, I'm joined by Jake Kucharski, who is a goalie for American International College. Jake, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, so how have things been? I mean, I haven't seen you in a while. You had the shutdown last year at Providence College. You had a whole year of with the transfer process, not really knowing if the season was going to happen. You have a season. You guys go to the NCAA tournament. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Kind of when the whole shutdown started, there was a lot of uncertainty around if we were going to have a season, this coming year, and no one really knew how many games we'd play or, if there'd be fans, anything like that. But luckily, we were able to get about, I want to say 15 games in before playoffs, maybe 16. So obviously not quite as much as a normal season, but we were able to make the most of what we had, and I think obviously it was a great year. Ours fell short of getting out of the region, which is unfortunate, but nonetheless still a great year and a lot to build off going into next season.
Yeah, so during that off season, did you have a place to go to where you could train, especially for hockey, where you have to skate? Because hockey's a lot harder to find places to train in comparisons with like basketball or baseball or soccer. How did that work for you guys?
So for me, I was fortunate enough to be able to have a decent at-home program that I could do. I was able to find one that was kind of hockey specific and more or less goalie specific, where I could work on the things I needed to. But in terms of ice, I wasn't really able to skate probably until late June. Getting into July, and even then, I mean, it still wasn't the same. We weren't able to use locker rooms. You had to get dressed outside, kind of social distance that way, and we weren't able to shower at the rinks either, which kind of sucked. But other than that, I was able to get a really solid off season in and kind of use the resources I had.
And speaking of those resources, could you just elaborate on where you went during the off season?
Yeah, so this summer I skated up in Foxborough, Massachusetts. I skate with a goalie company called Stop It Goaltending. The head guy there is Clay Adams, who I skate with, and I skated with him the summer before too, so I kind of knew him a little bit, and was able to connect with him again, kind of when rinks and everything started to open up, and we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, so after last season with Providence, you make the transfer process. Can you take me through what that is like, and is it similar to when you're getting recruited to make your first college decision?
Yeah, for sure. So when you first start, you had to take a couple of weeks and ponder whether or not you want to transfer or not. Always good to think about it. After that, you put your name in the portal, which basically gives your contact information to all coaches in the NCAA that would have interest in you. And yeah, it's kind of like just getting recruited for the first time again. Schools will reach out and basically express their interest and how serious they are. And I was fortunate enough that AIC was able to be a front runner, and they had a lot of interest in me, and I think there's a lot of mutual, like I said, mutual interest, and fortunate enough it was able to work out.
Yeah, it's definitely worked out. It definitely was appealing for the conference championships they've won and regular conference championships. So what other schools were also in the mix besides AIC?
So I talked to a couple schools. I talked to UMass Lowell a little bit, but it never really developed there. There's a bunch of schools that, I reached out to too, just to see what their interest level would be. And when it came down to it, it was AIC and Mercyhurst were the two that were really the most interested. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, and that's where Mercyhurst is at. So I kind of had that local connection, but I ended up going with AIC. I just felt it was a better fit for me, and I felt they had the more interest than other schools. So I made it, kind of an easy choice.
Yeah, so it's definitely a great choice. You're able to play this year. You got your first win. What was that like?
It was great. It felt like a long time coming. Just being at Providence, the last year and a half, I felt, there's a lot of things I needed to work on, and I was fortunate enough I was able, to get the work necessary work that I needed in there, and kind of take my game to the next level to be ready for college. And definitely game day, it's a little nervous. You don't know how it's going to be at the college level as compared to juniors, but in terms of game action. But it worked out well, and we were able to get a big win there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to keep going. So, what is AIC like in terms of the facilities? How do they allow you to perform at a high level?
So we have a gym, kind of very similar to Providence. Strength coach. In terms of our rink, we actually skate at play at the Mass Mutual Center in downtown Springfield, where the Springfield Thunderbirds AHL team play at as well. And this year we pretty much had access to the ice whenever we wanted, just because Springfield didn't have a season this year. But yeah, so practices, you just go out before, stay out after, pretty much as long as you want, as long as no one had the next time slot. So it was a great place to develop and really work on things, when we're having a ton of practices, as opposed to maybe only 4 in a normal season, or four practices a week in a normal season.
Yeah, and having great resources leads to great play and conference and regular season championships. Can you take me through what it was like to be a part of a team that went back to back? Because college hockey, it's really tough of a sport to repeat, especially at the collegiate level.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. I think a lot of it's a big testament to Coach Lang and what he's been able to do with the program and kind of turn it around. There's a while where AIC was kind of bottom feeders in Atlantic and nationally as well. But he was able to really take it to a new level, bring in great players and people as well, and we all kind of bought in. Obviously, with last season having the shutdown, it was pretty tough for those seniors that were there, because they had a really good team last year as well, and they felt they could have made a run. So for the guys that were returning, we definitely wanted to keep going and keep pushing what the team could do. And this year, I think we were able to go total record of 15-4, 15-3 going into the national tournament. So it was definitely wasn't easy to, always be motivated when you're not playing as much, as many games, and you're just practicing all the time. But, we were able to find a way to, never lose sight of what our goal was.
And you guys achieved that goal of, going back to back. So can you take me through, how hard it is to make it into this NCAA tournament? Because I don't think people really realize it's pretty much the Sweet 16 and on. It's I think every game it can come down to the wire. It's not like March Madness where there's some games where there's blowouts. It seems like everyone has a fair shot at winning it. Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah. So like you said, you basically hit the nail on the head there. Having only 16 teams, it's really tough to get in. I felt there were a lot of good teams this year that could easily have been in there. But if you win your conference, it's an auto bid. So we were able to do that and kind of have our spot secured. This year, though, or in normal years, they use pairwise system. So basically, it takes your home wins, your away wins, and whatnot, and puts them up against the rest of the country. But this year, with the lack of home games and non-conference games, they used a committee, basically just kind of like how football does it, and they pick the teams from there, aside from the auto bids. So we were the 16 seed, so we were the last team in, and we were able to draw North Dakota first round.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've had an interesting experience. You've seen the tournament from both sides. Your first time with Providence, you had the whole city in your backyard, and what was it like this time around? With no fans.
Yeah, so obviously I'm playing in Providence. That my first year was obviously great. Having the whole, like you said, the whole city there. But this year, actually, in the Fargo Regional, they did allow fans, so we were able to have. We had a little section, and then playing in Fargo in North Dakota, they obviously showed out pretty well. So it was honestly like a really fun experience. This was our first game having fans in the building, so it was definitely just a completely different feel to the game. You don't really realize how much you miss the fans and that kind of energy in the building until it's taken away, and then you get to go back to it. So it was, even though the result wasn't in our favor, it was still a ton of fun to play.
Yeah, for sure. So I got to ask your thoughts on this upcoming Frozen Four. I'm sure you're aware of what's going on with UMass. The backup goalie has to come in, playing the Frozen Four. I know you probably agree that's not ideal for your season debut, but if you're in that situation, what's going through your head?
I think, nothing's really changing. I don't think, as long as you've been doing the work all year and staying in shape, keeping yourself ready. Uh, I'm pretty sure the goalie playing now for him has a lot of experience too. I'm pretty sure he's a senior, so he knows what to do. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation to be thrown in like that after not playing for a while, but it's a great opportunity as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game regardless. And it's the national championship rematch. I know there's no Cal McCarr, but I think it should be a good game. So my last question is, what was it like seeing your former teammate Tice Thompson make his debut last night, getting a point in his second shift, and also Jacob Bryson not too far ago making his debut, and maybe Jack Dugan will be next. But what's it like seeing that so far?
It's really cool, and I'm obviously really happy for those guys. To see Ty sign a couple weeks ago and then have him get right up there and, play against his brother. That's a really awesome moment for him and his family. And like you said, not only against his brother, but a former teammate in Jacob Bryson. Those guys are all there for a reason. They're fantastic players, and I'm sure Jack's, not too far behind them. He's got, a pretty tough lineup to crack with Vegas, but, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll be up there in no time. But yeah, it's great to see all those guys succeed at the next level. And, they're obviously going to have great pro careers coming up.
Yeah, what impresses me is how with college hockey, the season ends and some of these guys are gone in a day, and then they're playing in the NHL. You see with college football, they get a full off season until September. College basketball, the same thing. But Jake, thanks for coming on my show, and we'll stay in touch, man.
Hey, thanks, George. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.